Okay, so let's get started. So I think what I'm going to do then is I'm going to start with this kitten first, and I always start with the eye. Well, more often than not I start with the eye. So I'm going to start here then. So I'm going to start with the outside, get the shape of the eye, and once we're happy with that we can start filling it in and get going. So the first colour I'm going to use then is the walnut brown. So we've got two different browns here. We've got the darker one right next to the eyeball, and then it goes out to the warmer sort of brown. So for now though, I'm just going to get the shape of the eye in. As always, nice light pressure as well. I'm putting a line across the top as well. I mean, we have got fur coming over, but we can take that out later. But yeah, I think that's okay for the shape then. Now we do, as I say, come out with the brown, so I'm just gently going to sort of colour a bit more around the eye. And it's quite a deep band coming down the bottom here, and then it sort of slopes off. Okay, I think that's all right then. So we've got obviously a bit more of a brown sort of coming down. I'm just going to do a little bit coming down the side of his nose area there. Okay, I'm going to get the dark sepia next. I'm using quite sharp pencils as well. We're working on quite a small scale, so I'm just going to do the inner part of the eye now with the dark sepia. Again, soft pressure. That little brush. So I think I'm quite happy with the shape of that eye then. So let's start filling the eye in. I'm going to go with the pupil first. I'm going to go with the, just wondering whether to go for the dark indigo. Yeah, I'm going to go with the dark indigo. And just fill it in. Also, we need to obviously make sure we get it in the right place. We have got the liner obviously, but just need to look at our reference photo and make sure it looks okay, because we want it to obviously match up with the other one. I'm just making it a bit thicker. Okay, I think that's okay. So before I darken that pupil up then, let's do a bit of colour around it. Now we've got sort of a creamy yellow greeny going on. We've got a catch light up here in the corner. So let's just start with the base colour first. Right, so I've now got my cream, Polychromes again. And we've got like a very sort of faint yellow coming down this side and a bit of green. So I'm just going to go in with the yellow first, very lightly. As I say, it's just a touch of the colour really. put a bit down this side as well. Okay, and then I'm going to grab a green colour. I'm going to go with the olive green yellowish. I'm going to be very light with this as well. I'm just going to go over the cream that we've just put in. I'll put a bit down this side as well. Okay, and I'm going to go with the warm grey 1. Down the side here. I'm going into the dark indigo a little bit as well. It doesn't really matter if I just sort of blur that a little bit. And on the other side I'm going to switch to the cold grey 1, or maybe the cold grey 2 might be better actually. Yeah, let's go with the cold grey 2 over this side. It doesn't matter if we go over the catchlight because we can just take that out with the tombow. Okay. Right, so talking of the catchlight we've got at the corner here, we've got quite a bluey sort of line underneath it. So I'm going to go with the dark indigo. I was going to go with a cold grey, but I think the dark indigo would be better. I'm just going to sort of do a blurry line across. We can clean that up with the tombow in a minute. Okay, now let's get the black now then and start darkening around the pupil. So very gently still, we don't want any pressure, just light pressure. So I'm just going to go right next to the pupil now and just darken around the actual eyeball. I'm hoping my pencil's sharp enough. I think when you're working on such a little area with a sharp pencil, it can go a bit, it can just snap quite easily. Okay, and while I've got the black, I'm going to colour in the pupil. Okay. Sometimes pupils can be a bit difficult because they're not always round or like a diamond shape. They can be a bit blurry, so just draw what you see. As long as it sort of matches up with this one, you know, it should be fine. And also if you're working on the matte both sides, we can darken that up on the reverse side if we need to. Okay, so we do need to put a bit more colour inside the eye. So I'm going to go back to my, I think it was the olive green yellowish, yeah. I've got the earth green yellowish here. And I'm just going to build up the colours in the eye, especially on this side where it's darker. Right, so what I'd like to do now then is just sort of blur a few, you know, just to sort of blur it a bit so it's not so sort of straight around the edge, and you know, we want it to be more of a natural looking eye. So I'm going to go with the cocoa in the Pablo, and I just want to sort of gently go over it all, just to sort of gently smooth and make it sort of less sharp, ever so gently. Okay, it's okay. It does look a bit strange at the moment. It looks quite big. I think once we've got everything around it, it will just sort of fit in. And also we need to sort of put some fur over the top here as well. And so yeah, I think what would be good now then is to get the tombow and do a bit of detail. We have got a couple of little lines at the side here, obviously some sort of reflection from the whiskers, I think. We could put them in if we want. So I'm going to grab my tombow, make sure it's clean. And I think the best thing to do first is do the fur coming over the top of the eye. So we'll be taking this top line out and a bit off the top of the eye. Okay, and then let's concentrate on the inside. So we've got this catch light at the side here. Now again, you can use your slice tool if you prefer, if you have that. I'm just using the tombow because it's what I prefer. And then we can put the two little lines in. I'm just going to put the one in. And I'm going to grab my walnut brown and just go over this bottom bit here where I just took it out a bit too much. So it's a very little eye, so I'm not going to be able to put mega amounts of detail in there. So I'm going to leave that as that is then for now. I'll get this second eye in, make sure it matches up, and then we can start filling, you know, around the eyes and just see how they look. So I've actually got the right colour actually, so I'm going to stick with the walnut brown. So on this side we've got the eyelashes coming across, so we can get them in first. They come out quite far. Just flick the pencil out there, and then we need to just get this bottom bit in as well. And it gets thicker as it comes in towards the face there. So very gently again. And then we need the sepia a bit underneath there. I'm going to concentrate on the pupil first though, so I'm going to get the dark indigo again and just fill this pupil in. Now we have got some fur sort of coming over the eye as well, but we'll worry about that once we've got this in. Now it does come up to the eyelashes on this side, and then it tapers off at the bottom there. I'll leave that like that. So it's quite light here. Obviously it's in the light there. So I think I'm just going to go with the warm grey 1. There you are. So I've got the warm grey 1. I'm actually going to need to sharpen that actually. I'm just going to gently bring that down. I'm going to go into the dark indigo as well. Okay, let's go with the dark sepia and just do underneath that eye. There you are. Okay, so let's have a look. So let's see where that line is there. Okay, that's the white bit. It comes down to about here. Now just gently go over that bit. Then I'm going to go over the walnut brown near the eye. So let's now grab the black and do some more on this pupil, darken it up. And then I think the walnut brown, we'll go back to the walnut brown. Because I just want to thicken these eyelashes up from the bottom a bit more, and then also we've got a bit of brown on the eye just above the pupil there. I'm going to go back to my black. And I'm going to darken this bottom bit here in the corner. Okay, and then let's go to the cold grey one and just soften that all up. Is that the 2 or the 1? That's the 1. I've got the cold grey one here. I'm just going to go over the warm grey one that I put in and just blur that a little bit. So it's not super focused, this eye. Okay, and then I think I'm going to leave them for now, get a bit more done on the outside and see how we go. I do want to put a bit of this in the catch light on this side. Got a bit of a pencil dust there that doesn't want to come off. Doesn't want to come out. There we go. I do want to do a bit more work here actually. I think another green. I know we tried the olive green yellowish, but I want to go to the earth green and just put that over on this side. And I'm going to go over my line that I put in because it just doesn't look right. So I'm just going to go over it again. This is a sort of more of an earthy green. I'm just going to put that in at the corner there. Okay, and then I just want to warm up this brown on this side. So I think might be brave actually and go to the burnt sienna just to add a bit of warmth there. Just very lightly on this side here. Just sort of coming down the edge there. Okay, and I think for now we'll leave it as that is there. So let's do a bit of work around the eyes then, and then we can see how they look. So let's do this centerpiece here then. So let's start with the warm grey one. Let's start with our light. We've got the nice warm grey one. Now we've got the fur going up. Let's go up into this triangle as it's all the same part. Let's bring that all the way down. Now just coming up on the other side. So we've got like a brown line coming up through the middle. We'll put that in a minute. Right, so I'm now going to grab my beige in the Pablo and start putting some of this brown little marking we've got up going through the middle here. So this is a nice sort of light browny grey. Just start putting that in through the centre there. And then it just sort of tails off down the side here. And while I've got this colour, I'm going to put a bit of that down the bottom here as well. There goes the seagulls. Okay, so let's go to the next brown then. I think the cocoa would be good again in the Pablo. I've got the cocoa here. Just to do that little streak through the middle. I'm going to go back to my beige again and put a bit more of that in. I think that's quite a nice colour on this side. I'm going to sharpen that actually, it's getting a bit too big for this area, so I need to sharpen it. Okay, I'm just going to bring that down the side there. It's just a bit warmer than the warm grey one there. Okay. Now we have got some fur coming over this eye as well, which we'll tackle in a minute. I just want to make sure everything's in the right place. I'm just going to do a bit more of the brown coming off the eye in the corner here. Right, so I've got the warm grey one back, and I just want to do some work above the eyes now, and then we can sort of connect it all up. So let's do this side first. So we've got the fur sort of going up and then around. So this is a good base layer. Let's go up to the edge of the eye there. Okay, and then let's do the same on the other side. It does flick off the edge on this side. And we'll worry about the whiskers later on. I'll just go up to there. Okay, I think what would be good is to do the bit just underneath the eye as well, on both sides. Right, let's switch to the burnt sienna now. Just add in some more of this colour around the eyes. I'm going to add a bit more on the top here as well. It's just a lovely colour, the burnt sienna, and it just helps warm the browns up a bit more. Okay, I've got a dot there, I don't know why that's, I'm going to take that out. I might have put a bit too much pressure on there, I don't know why, that's better. Okay, and while I've got this colour, let's put a little bit under the bottom here as well in the corner, and just coming down a bit. Okay, so let's come back up the top then. Thinking either the cocoa. Yeah, let's go to the cocoa. Okay, so we've got the edge of the fur up here. I'm just going to put a bit of this in. I'm just going to bring this down the middle. And then sort of up from the top of the eye here. Okay, and then let's put a bit on this side now. We've got another marking at the top of this eye. I'm not going to go all the way up. So we're kind of just plotting where everything is at the moment still, just making sure everything's in its right place, and then we can sort of get stuck in with some details. So while I've got this, I'm going to put a bit, we've got this fluffy bit here. So I'm just going to do the darker bit here, just above this fluffy area, above his eye. Okay, and then coming back over onto the bridge of the nose. Okay, and then right, so I'm going back to the walnut brown now, and I just want to make sure this eyelash is long enough here. It's quite long and it sort of comes down. It'll just be very light there. And then we need to bring this eyelid up a bit more. We've got the catch light here, so I'm just gently sort of putting a hairline in up the top there, just to sort of open that eye up a bit more. I'm sort of just going up and under the fur above the eye, and I'm just going to widen this sort of stripe, not stripe, this brown around his eye there up the top here. And then I'm going to bring that out a bit more. Just sort of coming down the side here. So just gradually building these colours up. So I think what would be good now then, we've got a lovely white catch light in the corner here, which we need to get in. So with my light beige, actually I'm going to go with the beige. I'm just going to put a very gentle ring around the eye here, just so we can see the outer part of the eye here. Very, you know, it's a very small detail. And then just connect that up down the bottom here. It's just a very light brown. I'm going to use that to fill in a little bit under his eye, and then I'm going to get my tombow and just clean up that top bit there. Just take anything out the corner there. I can't remember what colour we used in there, one of the light greys, just so that the film has nothing on it. And then I'm going to go straight to the white, the Pablo white, and then just put that catch light in up there. Nice white catch light in the middle, in the corner there, sorry. We can also brighten that on the reverse side. Okay, plus the light's on it as well, but you can see it better when the light's not on. Also I get the shine, that's the only thing. I'm just going to lift my light up a bit more there. Hopefully it takes the shine off. That is the only downside to drafting film, is when you've got a light on it. While I've got the Pablo then, I need to put some sort of a light bit on the pupil eyeball here. I'm just going to run that down the edge. I would advise quite a sharp pencil for this. And this will just help bring the eye sort of like a dome shape rather than a flat eye. Okay, and then I'm going to fill in this corner bit as well. Right, so I'm going to go over to the cream in the Pablo now and just start adding sort of like a creamy colour. I seem to be using a lot of the Pablos at the moment, but it's literally just because of the colour range. It's no other reason really. I'll just add a bit of a creamy colour in there. Let's put a bit of that down the bottom as well. And now I'm going to go to the beige now. This has got a slightly more colour to it than the warm grey one. I'm going to fill in this bit under here on this side. Up to the bottom of the nose there, and then let's fill in under here as well. I'm going to get my cocoa and do this bottom bit under here. We've got a few fur bits sticking out there. And let's do a bit more of that over this side. I don't want to go too far down because we need a bit more of a cream down the bottom there. A bit more at the side here. We do need to darken things up again. I'll run that along the top of the nostril or the nose there. Just so we've got the shape in. Okay, so what would be good now is to just do some hair or fur just coming over this eye here. I'm thinking I'm going to have to probably use the slice tool. I think that is the best bet. I'll grab the slice tool here. I'm just going to do a few flicky fur lines just sort of coming over. I'm just going to do a couple. I don't want to overdo it and lose that eyeball there. And then I'm just going to go back to the light beige and fill those lines back in. And just pretty much leave it at that. Alright, so let's just start darkening everything up now then. So I'm going to go with the dark sepia. So let's do this side first. So just darkening where's needed. going into this fur here just so it looks like the fur's coming over. Let's darken this bit in here. Let's come over to this middle bit. Okay, and this corner bit. So I've got a bit of a shadow here, so I'm just going to lightly go in with the dark sepia here. And then we need to come up the side of this eye a bit more again. Going to do the top of this nose, might as well while I've got the dark brown, dark sepia. Okay, and then we can move on to another area. Right, so let's come across this side of the face then. So I'm going to get these lines in. So I've got the burnt sienna first, and let's just get the shape of these in. So up here I'm just sort of flicking the pencil off. I might as well do the whole marking. And then it comes down here. And then it just sort of tapers off as we go round. Right, so that needs to be darkened, so let's go with a walnut brown next. I'll do pretty much the same. Got another little mark in there, but I'm going to leave that for now. Just want to get the side of this face in. Just do a sort of a section at a time. Okay, I don't think we need, oh, we've got a couple of little markings on the cheek bit here. And I think that's all we need for these two colours. We need to get this lighter area in, then we can refine it. So I'm going to go with the base layer on the warm grey 1. So let's just fill this all in with the warm grey 1. And then if we go up to the whiskers here, and then the fur starts to come down. Got that little bit in there as well. Okay, and then let's just do this little bit on the top of the eye. Okay, and then we can just concentrate on this side now. So I now need to add a little bit of a creamy colour now. So I've got the ivory in this little area. I did think about going with the cream, but I think that's a bit too strong. And then down here as well. I'm now going to switch to the brownish beige, back with the Pablo. And let's just put a bit more brown. Look like this triangle shape. So the cream that we've just put in, or should I say the ivory, I just want to warm that up a little bit. So I've got the brown ochre in the Pablo, and this might just make it a bit more sort of creamier. I don't want to put it all over, just in a few places. That's made a big difference actually. So the cream wasn't quite the right colour I was looking for, but this goes over the ivory quite nice. I'm just taking that into the browns as well a little bit there. Okay, good. Let's switch to the burnt sienna and let's get this marking a bit more refined. So we've got a few fur directions going on as well. We don't want it all looking perfect either. We've got it going in different directions, so we just don't want straight lines or anything. We want it to all look natural. Okay, and then in here we definitely need to darken it up. A bit over there as well. Okay. Right, so back to the walnut brown then, and let's just darken like round here where it's a bit darker. Okay, so I'm going back to the cocoa now, just to darken up here a bit more. Bring some of that further down actually, that all connects. Put a bit more on the side of the nose there. Let's bring a bit of that down here. Just want it all to connect nicely. And then we need to put a bit of shading under the eye. I think what would also be nice is to add a bit of the sepia 10% with the Luminance, just sort of around the eye area, a nice lilac-y brown. Put a bit up here as well. It's a nice shaded colour, you know, a nice colour for shading. I'll bring that down the side here as well. And then I think a bit of caput mortuum would also be good. So back to the Polychromes. A nice reddy brown, and just bring that down as well. I'll put a touch of that up the top here. So it's all very subtle changes of colour. And I think that's, actually I might put a bit down here. Just down the bottom bit here. Okay, I do want to darken this up a little bit more down the bottom. I don't want to go to the black. Let's try the dark sepia. Just needs a little bit more. I think that's better. Just in places down the bottom bit here. Okay, I think that's fine. Alright, so let's get this little nose in then. I'm going to go with the cinnamon in the Polychrome. So I ain't got a huge amount of detail, but I'm just going to put in what I see. So we've got the colour of the nose there. And that's all that needs. Let's just go in a bit more. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the dark sepia. There you are. And then we're just going to do the nostril bit here on the side, fill that in. Okay, and then this line on the top, I'm just going to soften that by just widening that a little bit there. I'm just going to bring that over the cinnamon a bit. I just want to phase that top bit out so we haven't got just a straight line across. Okay, I'm going to add a bit of caput mortuum as well over the cinnamon, just to give that a deeper colour. Okay, and that's all I'm going to do with that nose. I don't want to put in too much. Let's go to the cocoa. So we've got this bit shading on the bottom, and then that's where the mouth is. So I'm just going to put a bit of sepia, not sepia, cocoa in along the bottom very gently. Okay, and while I've got the cocoa, let's just mark out some of these whisker bits. So we don't want them all to be perfectly in line and the same shape. And then this one joins up to this bit here. I think we need to add a bit of a base colour before we do much more. So I'm going to go with the warm grey one. And let's just fill this in. Doesn't matter if you go into the dark sepia. Dark sepia will just smudge it a little bit, but that's fine because it's a bit blurry anyway. And let's do this bottom bit. I think once we've got all the features in, like the eye and the nose, the eyes and the nose, then we can just sort of refine it and make sure we're happy with it. everything's the right colour. I'll probably leave the whiskers till last. Okay. Right, just bring that down a little bit further. Okay, so let's go back to our cocoa and let's just do a little bit more here. It's got a bit of shade in there, and then I think the sepia 10% would be good around the mouth. I'm going to go back to the sepia 10, and then let's just do where his mouth is there. I'm going to do a bit of that around the nose as well. I'm going to go to the dark sepia now, just to darken some areas up then. Just go over that again actually. A bit down here. I'm going to go over these as well. Okay, a bit more up here. Then I want to do a bit of slice too, I think would be good next. Just want to shape that side of the nose a bit better. Okay, well I think that's dark enough. So I'm going to get the slice tool then, and let's do some detail on this side then. So we've got like some lighter fur lines coming over the markings here. So I'm going to use the slice tool just to gently scratch out some lighter fur coming over. Only a few, we don't want to overdo it there. Just brush that off. Just give that a clean actually. And then just do a few more little ones. This will be good for the whiskers later on, I think. Okay, so I'm going to now go back in with my warm grey one and just go over that so it doesn't look like a load of scratches. So I'm just going to go over what I've just taken out with the warm grey one, and it just softens the lines. Otherwise it can just look like scratches and look a bit messy. Okay, and I think that's all I'm going to do. So I'd rather not do enough than too much, because once you've used the slice tool you can't really undo it. I'm just coming under this chin a bit more. Over here, and I think we can move on. So we do the whiskers much later on, we won't worry about that. So now I've got a bit more colouring around the eyes. Sorry about the interruption, the dogs were barking at the door. So as I think I was saying, I just want to darken the eyes a little bit more. Now I've got more colour around them. Just want to put a bit more darker colour in. So I've got the warm grey 5, and I'm going to go over the green just to deepen the colour. You still see the green underneath, but it just darkens it up a little bit there. I'm going to put a little bit over this side. I don't want to go over the white too much. It will just soften it all a bit. Okay, that's looking better. Let's do a bit more over the other side as well. Now we've got this big catch light here, so I'm just going to go on the outside of that, just a little bit there, and then add a little bit next to the pupil. And just lightly go over the bottom. Okay, and I think that's all it needs. So I think we can carry on up further up this way then. Right, so let's do up the top here now then. I've got the warm grey 2 this time, and I'm just going to go over all the top area. And it's quite short fur. I'm just going to do little strokes with the pencil. Right, let's get some of these markings in. So I've got the walnut brown, we've got this quite long marking coming from the top of his head all the way across here. I'm going to start putting that in. Okay, and then we've got this side. I've got this one up here in the middle here again. Okay, and then we start going off into a different colour. We've got a little line this end as well. Right, so let's add some brown ochre now to this line. It'll also add a bit of a yellowy, creamy colour, just like down here. Let's add a bit over here. Just going to go back to my walnut again, walnut brown, and just bring that a bit further down here. Okay, that's better. I didn't come down quite far enough. Okay, it's got the brown ochre back. Okay, let's go to the dark sepia then. Let's just darken this all up. And that goes off behind that ear there. Bring that down the centre a bit more as well. Right, so we've got the darker bit up here towards the back of the head. I'm going to go with the cocoa. Comes up to the front of this ear here. And then we've got the ear here. Just working out, it's about here where it stops. can do a bit more there once we've got the tail in. Okay, I'm going to switch to a lighter colour now. Let's go with the light beige, just to connect that all up. I'm thinking actually the beige might be a better option. Let's just go up one. Let's go to the beige. Coming down the side here. Just going to go over that way bit up the top there. Seagulls. Right, so now I want to add some dark sepia to this, and then I think a bit of the sepia 10 over the top. I just need to darken this. And this stripe marking at the back as well gets a bit darker. It goes behind the ear there. I want to add a bit more of the brown ochre there actually, just up this end here. And a bit of burnt sienna. I want to go back to the beige as well. I can find it. There you are. So I've got the beige here. I just want to fill in a little bit more. I might add a little black actually before I go in with the Luminance. I've got the black here. Put a bit of it in this end. Okay, and while I've got the black, I just want to run that along the catchlight that we done earlier, just over the indigo blue there. Okay, I think that'll be fine. And then to finish off this video, I'm going to get the sepia 10%, so back with the Luminance. I just want to run that over what we've just done, just to soften this kitten fur up the top here, so it's nice and soft, and it just mellows the colour a bit as well. And just bring the sepia tint further down as well, down here. And I'm going to do a bit more on here as well, just down the side here.